Hey there, entrepreneur. Do you know your calm entrepreneur archetype? I've created a fun and insightful 10-question quiz that reveals your calm entrepreneur archetype and allows you to unlock your entrepreneurial superpower. With this quiz, you'll be asked some questions that zero in on your business style, the way you think, the way you show up, and how your energy works. And by gaining a deeper understanding of your innate strengths, preferences, and challenges, you can maximize your potential, leverage your unique abilities, and overcome obstacles more effectively. The self-awareness that comes also fosters better communication and collaboration within professional relationships and teams, enabling you to make more informed decisions that align with your natural instincts. Ultimately, discovering your entrepreneurial archetype can lead to greater satisfaction and success on your entrepreneurial journey. So just answer a few simple questions and you'll gain access to a personalized path designed to empower you to step into your role as a calm and confident entrepreneur. You can find the Calm Entrepreneur Archetype Quiz now at CorinneO'Flynn.com on the homepage or CorinneO'Flynn.com/quiz. Hey there. My name is Corinne O'Flynn, and you're listening to the Calm Entrepreneur Podcast. I am a USA Today bestselling author, nonprofit executive, and organizing nerd with over 20 years' experience running my own small businesses. I teach entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and small business owners like you how to organize your business, find more time, and deepen your alignment practice to experience more calm and confidence every single day. If you're looking for that intersection between practical business advice and spiritual goodness, then you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into this week's episode of the Calm Entrepreneur Podcast. Welcome to the Calm Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Corinne O'Flynn, and this is episode 28. Before I drop into this week's energy type, I wanted to do a little bit of a review about human design in general, just in case you haven't picked up any of the prior episodes in this series. If you have been listening, some of this will be review, but I encourage you to listen anyway because repetition is a huge part of learning and mastery. And eventually, if you hear things repeated, they will get locked into your knowledge base, which is, I think, so amazing just because of how our brains work. But it's really, really cool for human design understanding because human design, the body of work is enormous and growing, and it's evolving, and it's just worth listening to again and again. Human design is quite possibly the most comprehensive self-discovery tool I have ever found. It's a unique system built to help us navigate our energy, find our way through our lives by understanding how to be our authentic selves and make decisions that are in alignment with our purpose. It's incredibly personal. And what I mean by that is that it shows us how we are truly unique. And this couldn't be more valuable to us as entrepreneurs. Understanding that we must follow our own path and not follow the crowd. We must empower ourselves. Because when you peel back the layers of your own human design, it's inevitable that you will also peel yourself away from the pack. There are 5 types in human design. And your type is your energetic signature. It's your aura. And even though there are only 5 types in the human design system, the rest of the system really unpacks all the different ways in which we are truly unique. So we have our type, our definition, our strategy, our profile, our authority, our self and not self themes, our incarnation cross. And that's just 7 of the elements that are present in everyone's body graph in human design. And each of those 7 things are informed by the 64 gates and all the planets and celestial bodies in the sky. So it's an incredible and profound system that is meant for contemplation. It is meant to be something that you can use for the rest of your life to unpack you. And I think that that's what draws me so deeply to it, because in the time that I've been learning human design, and now that I've become a coach in human design, I'm sharing it with people and I'm coaching other people, and I'm seeing the awakenings that are in store for all of us. So if you're curious about yourself and looking within and really tapping into who you are and what that means and how you can master your energy by understanding your conditioning, this is something that I urge you to explore. And for a lot of people, it's an overload, right? It's a fire hose of information. And it's one of those things, it's like the epitome of a rabbit hole because there truly is so much to explore. So that's why I'm putting together these simpler one-on-one kind of guide episodes, because if you learn just the several things that I share in my episodes about your type, that's enough to keep you going for the rest of your life. You don't have to dig in any further to really make a shift and a huge change. But if you do wish for more, reach out. If you want a chart reading session or you want to explore coaching by your design, that is something that's available to you. So over the next few episodes, I'm going to be covering the different aspects of human design, starting with type, strategy, and authority. And if you haven't yet learned your type and you are curious to know what that is, you can go to my website at CorinneO'Flynn.com and click on the free human design chart in the menu. I'll also link to this in the show notes to make it easy, but it only takes a few minutes. You need your birth information, and then you'll have your chart, and your chart never changes. Your chart is your chart is your chart for the rest of your life, which kind of makes it easier because then you only have so much to learn about in human design. So what is human design? Human design was channeled by a guy named Ra Uru in 1987. It is a blend of 4 ancient modalities: the Kabbalah tree of life, the Hindu Brahmin chakra system, the Chinese Ching, which is also known as the Book of Changes, and Western astrology. And these are combined with genetics and quantum mechanics. And that's really important, the quantum piece, because the neutrino stream, which is made up of dark matter, it's the field of subatomic particles, which is created by cosmic rays. And that is how energy travels through the universe. It's also called prana. It's also called chi. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds here on all of that. So I'm going to dive into the next of the types that I'm discussing in this series. And as I said earlier, there are 5 types in human design. They are the manifestor, the generator, the manifesting generator, the projector, and the reflector. And if you missed the prior episode 27 is where I go over the manifestor. The thing that differentiates the types is the way that each type exchanges energy with other people, as well as the way that we use our energy to move about our everyday. Each of the 5 types has a role to play. Each one has their gifts to give, and each one has strengths, and each one has their role to play in the world. And we all have all of the chart. And I want to make that like super duper clear, because there is no type, no human design type that is more desirable or better than another type. Each of them has their own things that make them special and unique. And understanding your type is really what this is all about. The more we dig into how the different types interact with each other, the clearer it will be that we pick up on the energy of other people. It's the people we spend time with, the people we live with, the people we work with. And that means that we have access to all of the chart in human design. And that is something that Karen Curry Parker, who is my quantum human design coach, she makes sure to stress all the time, because people speak about this incorrectly. Everybody has all the chart. The differences come from the places where we have definition versus openness, right? So there are 64 gates in the body graph, and all of us has every one of them either defined or open. So when you look at your chart and you see the places where you have definition, you're going to know that they're defined because they're colored in. And I should have an aside here. Depending on where you do download your chart, the colors of the chart are going to be different from each other. Some charts are red and black. Some are, the one on my website right now is gold and burgundy. There are some that are like pastels. There are some that are red and blue. The colors don't matter. The fact that it's colored in is what matters. So definition is colored. Openness is not colored in. And it is not correct to say that you don't have an aspect in the chart because it isn't colored in. Okay? It's just a matter of how you access that energy. And that's actually something else that I think is important to discuss. There's language used in quantum human design and traditional human design that it's the regular language that we all use in English. And often there are definitions that we assign, meanings that we assign to certain words that we associate that make us jump to conclusions and make judgments about certain things in the chart. And I want you to resist that, because there are things in the chart that are said, that are described in a certain way that might feel negative or might feel positive. And without the context of what it means in human design, you don't have the whole picture. So I would urge you to make sure that you do the reading and listen clearly so that you understand that when it says that, for example, the manifestor has a closed aura, that doesn't mean that they're closed off and they're, shut off from the world. It means that they're protective. That's a positive thing. But on to generators. This episode is all about generators. Generators comprise about 37% of the population, and their energy is described as open and enveloping. And receptivity is a keynote for generators in that you are designed to take in everything in your environment and then decide what you want to commit your energy to. Because a generator is meant to spend all of their energy doing the thing that they love the most. The thing that makes a generator is the fact that on their body graph chart, their sacral center is defined. And the sacral center is a motor center. And it's the only motor center in the entire body graph that can provide sustained, consistent energy. And that's important. Generators need to do things repeatedly. And the reason they do things over and over again is because they are actually working toward perfection. The challenge for generators is that they get frustrated and they quit too soon. And something that is unique to generator types is that they have this stair-step learning curve. I guess it shouldn't be called a learning curve at all. They have a stair-step learning curve that they experience. And this means that they have a growth cycle, this big surge of energy, and they're doing and learning and doing and learning. And right when they're about to have a breakthrough and they're about to level up, they plateau. And that plateau feels like frustration. But what that is the signal that you're gathering up your energy and you're about to level up. You're about to take the next step. So if this was going to be charted out on a piece of like graph paper, it would look like a staircase going up and flat, up and flat, up and flat. And so the challenge for the generator is to hang on through that lull and not quit too soon, because the energy that you build up during the plateau is what you need to get that next growth phase to come in. One of the most valuable lessons a generator type can learn is that when they feel frustration, it is an opportunity, right? That's the signal to pause and recalibrate and to nurture your energy while you're waiting for that next thing to appear. Because the next thing is not where you are right now. And the next thing actually has to appear. It has to present itself because it does not come from within you. It actually has to come from the outside world, and it will only come when your energy says that you are ready. The openness and enveloping qualities of the generators make them come across as warm and inviting to other people. They connect easily with others because the generators can feel what these people need, and that those other people can tell that you're here to give them what they need. And so that means that people can sense your openness and they feel like they can ask favors of you all the time. And that can lead you to be getting taken advantage of, right? And so the generator's nurturing tendencies make them say yes far more often than they should at their own expense. And this leads to burnout, taking on more than you can handle, depleting your energy, and it makes you feel resentful. And the medicine for this is to go back to following your strategy. So what is the generator strategy? The generator strategy is to respond. And I remember the first time I learned about this, and I've shared this in earlier episodes where I talked about human design, because I am one of the generator types. I'm not a pure generator. I'm a manifesting generator, but my strategy is also to respond. And I was so confused when I heard that. Like, respond to what? But now that I understand it, it makes a ton of sense, because in the time since learning this, I have been allowing myself to live by my strategy. And just about everything in my life has changed for the better. And when I say that, I'm talking about the sense of ease and flow in my life. Learning to wait to respond has been a game changer for me, which is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about sharing human design with the world, because no matter what your human design is, your type has a strategy. And if you are able to take nothing else away from these conversations about human design, let it be learning your type and learning your strategy and how to live by your strategy with the understanding of what your type is. I can't, you guys, it's huge with a capital H. So what does it mean to respond? For generators, like I said, they have a defined sacral center. This means that there is this primal gut response that arises in your lower belly and it lights this spark. It gives energy to something. That response is to something external. It's never going to be something in your mind. And that took a little time for me to get my head around, because like the qualifier that responding means I have to respond to something external was still confusing to me. So to put it simply, when you have a defined sacral, it means that you will get this in the moment gut response to something in the world. And as a sacral being, that response is going to be a full body yes. And if it is not a full body yes, burning on fire, oh my gosh, yes, then it's either a no or a not right now. So the lack of a full body yes is not always no. It could be yes, but not now. It could be that the timing is not right. So that is the strategy for the generator types. Human design also has themes for each type, and these are the signs that tell you whether or not you're acting in alignment. And these are called the self and the not self themes in traditional human design, and the balanced and unbalanced expression in quantum human design. And I prefer the quantum definition because it feels more accessible to me. It talks about being in a state of being. I am in a balanced state or an unbalanced state. And when it's just gentler to think about it, like, 'cause if you're in an unbalanced state, then you can work to get back into balance. And, for me, it just speaks more clearly to me. So the balanced expression for generators is satisfaction. This is the sign that you're working in alignment, that you are feeling completely satisfied with whatever it is that you're doing in your life at the moment. It comes through as contentment. This is when you have worked really hard all day doing the thing that you love, and you find yourself at the end of the day satisfied that you did what you were meant to do today, and you have no more energy left to burn, and it's time for rest. And that energy burn is really important for generator types to understand. Generators are meant to burn off all of their energy each day doing the things that they want to do. Now, this is not burning the candle at both ends and then burning themselves out. It is spending all the energy that they have stored up so that by the end of the day, when it's time to rest, they can go to bed depleted of all their energy. So if you are a generator type, you might need to go for a run during the day or do something else physically to actually spend all of your energy before the day is done. And if you are a generator type and you struggle with insomnia, my spouse is one of those people. And when I try to explain this to him, he just kind of gives me the arched eyebrow because, I'm speaking magical things here. But that's something to lean into. When my husband, the generator, works out really hard and spends his energy, he sleeps so much better than on the days that he doesn't. And, he, no matter what I do, he calls it, that's anecdotal. Well, it has nothing to do with this. That has nothing to do with that. So the balanced expression for the generator is satisfaction. The other side of that is the unbalanced expression. And that is the experience of how it feels when you're not in alignment. And so the unbalanced expression for the generator is frustration. And this is tricky because when you act against your strategy and you feel frustration because things aren't in alignment, but you also feel frustration when you're about to level up. So you have to figure out how to understand the nuance there. The unbalanced generator has a pattern of quitting too soon, of responding to frustration by quitting and not waiting for the next right thing to present itself, right? It's this not trusting that they're supported by the universe. So if you are a generator type and you find yourself quitting often, and this is not to say that you're not allowed to quit things. You are allowed to quit things, but you have to use your strategy to quit. You have to use your strategy and your authority to quit. And your authority is the last thing that I wanted to talk about. It's really helpful to understand as you start to explore your design that in addition to a type and a strategy, you do have an authority. And authority is not specific to your type or your strategy. When you understand how to use your strategy with your authority, you will find yourself living a life where things really do fall into place. They start to feel magical and very, very easeful. And there are two that are available to the generator types. The two for the generators are sacral authority and emotional authority. For generators with an emotional authority, once they are responding to the things in their present environment with that sacral energy that lights them up, they have to ride their emotional wave and come back full circle on their emotional wave before taking action and making that final decision. And I will go into the emotional wave in a future episode because it is really, it's just so interesting. But it requires that you can hold the yes or the no response and sustain that yes over the duration of your emotional wave. And for some people, the wave is a few hours. For some people, it's, overnight, you sleep on it. Some people, it's a week. Some people, it's a couple of days. There is a way to track it, but it is enough to know that if you are a generator type with an emotional authority and you would like to take action on something that needs a yes, that yes has to stay over the course of your high and your low. And the high and the low have nothing to do with anything going on in the outside world. So if you have a fight with someone, let's say you have an argument with your best friend, or you have an argument with your partner, or you have an argument with your child, and you get all bummed out, that is not a low in your emotional wave. The emotional wave rises and falls. There's a rise and a dip that is completely irrelevant to anything that's actually happening in the world. So it's how you feel in your body. So that is the emotional authority. For generators with the sacral authority, once they are responding to things in the present environment with that sacral energy that lights them up, they then must learn to trust the gut response in the moment, that inner knowing that this next thing is what they should choose. And that sounds really simple, but it's not. It's a skill that must be learned because it requires quieting. It requires really learning how to read your own body and those signals that we get as generators. It's this inner compass, and we all crave that knowing, and generators have it inside. And so often we look outside, we ask for input, and we try to get the answer from somebody else. Like, what should I do? What should I do? The generator has to look within. That's the only place where alignment is going to come. Okay. So to review, in this episode, we did a deep dive into the generator type and all of the main points that it means to be a generator. We talked about having an open and enveloping aura. We talked about the generator type's strategy to respond. And we talked about the balanced and unbalanced expressions being satisfaction and frustration and what that means for a generator. We talked about how important it is for a generator to hold on and not quit when frustration shows up, and how they are allowed to quit, but they must wait for something in the external world using their authority to give them the sign that it's actually okay to quit. If you are a generator, the lesson for you is to learn to wait for the next right step to present itself from the outside world. It cannot come from you. It must come from the external world. And you must learn to trust that the inner sacral response will light up that next step for you. You are meant to do things that you love. You are meant to spend all of your energy doing the things that light you up. And that's pretty exciting, I think. So I hope that after listening to this episode, you understand a little bit more about how valuable it is to understand your strategy and your type and your authority. And if you're interested in learning more about yourself and your human design, I urge you to visit my website, get a free human design chart. You need to know your birth details to do so. But once you do, the chart will tell you your type and your strategy and your authority. You can begin to experiment with it and learn all the different ways in which your design can be tapped into to make life it's incredible how simple it is once you see it. But it's actually really exciting to experiment with it and to see and to realize that you have so much more control and there's so much power in who you are if only you let yourself be who you are. Okay, that's all I have for you. Please tune in next week for my episode on the manifesting generator. And I hope you have a great week. Thank you. Remember, part of being a calm entrepreneur is developing the systems, habits, and know-how that lets you know that you are the one in the driver's seat. You get to choose how you run your business, and you get to choose how you work. So you got this. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of the Calm Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Corinne O'Flynn, and if this episode was valuable to you, please head on over and rate and review wherever you consume your podcasts. Please subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. New episodes go out each week on Tuesdays, and I look forward to hanging with you again. This is Corinne signing off. Have an excellent day.